especially to our panelists who came 15 minutes early, and we are starting 15 minutes later than the scheduled time. But I hope you will bear with us and see us through this, and we will definitely try and improve our Gujarati. So, hearty welcome to you and a good evening. It's really become a very nice evening. The heat is also down. The heat is down in temperature, but otherwise we don't know. We don't know how it will shape up. So today we are having what we call it's an interactive discussion, and it's the topic, as you all know, is online trolling faced by women in public spheres. How effective are the legal safeguards and the IT policy provisions to safeguard them? So that is the topic. And I would like to just say that this is, as you know, it's an all-pervasive topic, and it sort of shows up two distinct strands which define our times. One is the growing presence and the voice of women in all spheres, cutting across geographies, political, economic, social context, cultural context, professional lives, personal lives, their growing voice, their growing agency, and their growing visibility. And the other is the all-encompassing digital media, which is penetrated into all aspects of our lives. So it gives us in one instant, it can connect us to, it can give you access to information in one instant. It can also connect us instantly to millions of people and ideas across cyberspace. But at the same time, there is a contrast. It also affords you a kind of anonymity and a kind of unseen presence in which you are not visible yourself, but you can pour out vitriol to anyone that you hate or you disagree with. So somewhere we are caught in the midst of this, and as technology mediates more of our daily lives, what we are finding is that this digital media is being weaponized against women and girls in new and alarming ways. So the online abuse of women is a broad term, but if you delve a little deeper, there are many, very, very disturbing aspects to it. There is cyber stalking, there is what you call deep fakes, then there's sextortion. All these are terms that have crept into the modern lexicon, unfortunately. Then we have things like identity theft and revenge porn. And almost parallelly, there is what you call a growing ecosystem of misogynistic content, which is shaping public opinion, which is heaping vitriol, and it is seeping into mainstream culture and shaping public attitudes towards women, fueling violence. How this can spiral out into danger which is beyond the screens and beyond the borders and beyond the walls of your safe zones, whether it's your home or your neighborhood or your workspace. So this is the scenario that we are facing right now. I was just looking at the laws. We have, of course, a distinguished panel to talk about that. But in my own way, the Criminal Law Amendment Act 2013 has added sections to the Indian Penal Code which talks specifically about harassment, sexual harassment, and violence against women. It also covering cybercrimes. All this falls under cybercrime, including voyeurism and stalking. And we know that there is an NCW helpline, we know there are cyber cells. But the point is that given all this, when a woman is faced with abuse, online virtual abuse, what does she do? Who does she report to? What are the mechanisms in place? Are they robust enough? Are they responsive enough? And what are the systems for mitigation and for punitive action? So one is what she does to protect herself and how she airs the complaints, and one is the response from the system. What is how is the system geared towards providing her not just relief but protection and justice, basically access to justice. So where are we in all this? So this is where we are. and this is where our panel discussion position, and I would like to open this out because there's a lot to delve into, and which is why we need the experts from the fields who have gone into this in a deeper and broader way to enlighten us, basically. So I will stop here and I will introduce our panelists who have made the time to come here. Thank you so much. So Apar Gupta, he is a lawyer and he is a writer on democracy and technology. In 2019, he was elected as Ashoka Fellow for creating a model for digital rights advocacy, and he is the founder of the Internet Freedom Foundation. Welcome. And we have with us Sharanya Verma, who's a Delhi University student and activist. She's been at the forefront of several protests for the rights and entitlements, democratic rights and entitlements of citizens. Her role in the recent protests in Jantar Mantar has instilled a lot of courage in all sections who have viewed her and have been there. So we welcome you. And we have Sakshi, a student at Saki, sorry. I'm so sorry. And your second, Saki, great, yeah, thank you. And she's one of the most recognized faces and voices of the recent protests. And the creativity and the courage which she has put out her posts and her expressions, which has won her hearts and support from across generations and across, I could say, social, economic, political system spheres. So, everybody. And her post on the trip on this, but Vaste Guna Huya has gone viral and it has gone into our culture. I mean, our, what you call protest art is also a genre. So all of this goes into that, and we really applaud you. And we have Professor Mukesh. Thank you so much for coming. There were some issues, but he was being kind enough to come here and be with us. So he is the editor of Satya and its associated YouTube channels. 40 years, his career spanned 40 years in journalism, in print and electronic. And he's well known as an author, YouTuber, anchor, and commentator. So I welcome you all. And we can start. The format of our discussion is that I will request you to keep to 15 minutes or so for what you have to say. And after which, Salon Julia will lead the Q&A session. Is that okay? Will that be okay? So, can I ask Apar, please?
Thank you so much for inviting me. I've been coming here for a number of years, and it's good to meet old friends and also have the opportunity of meeting new ones. Just like to first congratulate every person who is part of this peaceful assembly towards a system, towards posing a level of accountability to a system which had become completely apathetic to citizen demands, and a large amount of that credit goes towards young protesters who use digital media in a very effective way. In as much the CJP protest spokespersons and central leadership was dominated by men, we quite often saw the digital media and advocacy as well as those particularly led by the left groups comprise of very visible and strong female leadership. And when I say female, it also has people who identify themselves across a broader gender spectrum. So it shows that there is a higher amount of hope younger people hold in our world today, when we quite often say they are cynical. They're fighting for change, and they have been able to achieve a certain degree of accountability from a government by forcing the resignation of the union minister. Of course, we can ask ourselves towards what end, but that end was a sense of relief, a sigh of relief, as well as a sense of release we felt that very day. It was inescapable. Now, what has quite often happened when women have raised their voice in any patriarchal society has been the imposition of stereotypes and attacks towards them from the very social fabric which seeks to limit their financial mobility, where they become independent and they have a share of political power in a sense. So one clear manifestation which is coming through the course of the movement was because this was also content movement in which you quite often saw, at least for the first 2 weeks, when things were a bit more tepid, the presence of people who had large online followings, and they were doing regular interviews there, they were shooting short videos there. Whenever there were women who were there were groups which are associated towards them, in which they were put towards question as to, well, what was their knowledge, political awareness, and ability to participate in the protest. Or they were aestheticized as per how a man should view a woman, right? So all of these things were happening, and the clearest manifestation of this also was when young women protesters were actually being photographed. There was digital manipulation done, particularly of their bosom, in order to sexualize them. Because sexualization of a woman quite often also results in an associated characteristic of feminine beauty taking away from their intellectual ability or their political awareness, right? So all of these things were happening, and they were happening on a regular basis to delegitimize the participation of women. And when you associate that in a patriarchal country, what does that mean? It means in a very clear way that the participation of women in India on the internet is low. There are more men online who have the ability of logging on online from a smartphone or a mobile connection, which is then represented in very clear ways of how benefits come to men first and then on their determination go down to a woman. For instance, if you look at the COVID vaccination data, in which for the age groups of 18 to I think 38, vaccination could only be done through the COVID vaccination platform. Men were vaccinated first rather than women, resulting in morbidity. So even in life-threatening situations, men will usually be the first beneficiaries of any digital technology. And the same goes for social media, where in social media, because there are more men, and more for physical spaces, if there are 10 men and 1 woman there, it will be uncomfortable for the woman, even if those 10 men wear t-shirts which have feminist written on them, right? Because there are gender norms which come through groups, and these groups form quite often online, in which women are mocked, or they are sometimes also derided, because the very men who are looking at more women more often and objectifying them are also at the same point in time saying that women are being more popular, and if a man said and did the same thing, they would not give that level of reach as well as social acceptance, right? Now, when we come to the laws, there are a whole roster of laws that can be read out, and I can read them out as well. The laws will not be enforced because we know the reality of the enforcement apparatus is not only wrestling with a lack of training, absence of its ability to enforce the law, which is quite often in much more academic conferences put down due to a state capacity issue. It's not a state capacity issue actually. We know what the police is. The CSD's locally studies show that the police is to a large extent controlled by men. It's to a large extent casteist. It is to a large extent operating also through forms of corruption, through any kind of citizen perception surveys. So why would they do these things seriously? Why would they do these things seriously? When a leader of opposition has to sit and get a FIR registered for 6 hours, why would it enforce the laws? Which also reminds me of a very interesting art exhibit I saw a few years ago. It was by Rina Seni Kala, which was called Verso, Recto, Recto, Verso. And what she basically did was that she took the preambles of 20 countries, which were put back to back, which were in indigo. And this lettering was in white. And beside each manifesto, which was turned towards the outer periphery where the words were, the common words between two manifestos at a time, so two placed against each other in a row. So you could say 10 were countries which had gone to war with each other. And the words which were there in each manifesto were actually common words. Most of the manifestos said they are democratic. Most of the manifestos said they were liberal. Most of the manifestos said they were federal republics. But these words in law are meaningless. These words are guarantees which need to be enforced through action. And here I have an analysis, I know how to approach this issue as well. But this issue cannot be approached in the current political environment. If I'm being honest to myself, if I'm being honest to all of you, the trolling, threats, doxing of women will continue, especially when they speak up against power. They will continue even when women journalists in Punjab speak up against the government which is there, which is the Aam Aadmi Party government. It will continue against the women by journalists who speak up against the Telangana government, which is a Congress government. Because we are living in a larger environment which is legitimizing a sense of violence, fear, and imposition of patriarchal norms which are there in our society. So there is no space for aspirational politics anymore. The second thing which I would like to say very, very clearly here is that despite all of this, women are still speaking up, right? And here what we do need to focus on, rather than the law enforcement and the state, is maintaining that space of civic advocacy which is primarily being enabled by Silicon Valley companies which are also firstly self-interested in expanding the number of users, the amount of time they spend, and engaging in a form of surveillance capitalism in which they gauge more and more bits of our personal data. So they are quite at a distance from being ethical corporate actors. In fact, they are contributory to weakening of democratic norms itself quite often. Their market presence in India is their primary interest, and they will maintain it by negotiating as well as making sure that their platform remains accessible within India. And the compromises which they approach with the government then are the ones which we need to question, which we need to pay attention to. Because if this movement has taught us anything, if the advocacy of the young women has taught us anything, is that legacy broadcast media is no longer a space where they can find their voice. Their voices will be there on Instagram. Their voices will be there on YouTube, on Twitter, primarily on Instagram. And here we need to make sure that either through policy, through advocacy, through reporting, that space is maintained. And I see that is closing already, given the amount of takedowns and censorship which is occurring at a continuing level. So that's my initial remarks. I'd be happy to take any questions.
Thank you so much. Really does seem like a dismal picture, but the hope is that women are speaking out. And what you said about the platforms playing such a role and they're being governed by powers that be, maybe we need to look at ways to crack them. We have to see. So I will hand over to our young guest, Shalini.
Hi everyone, thank you so much for inviting us today. It's my first time being here and I'm really delighted to be here and to be speaking on something that me, Sakhi and a lot of other female comrades of ours have experienced in the recent movement, and as people who have been involved in activism for a long time now, it is something that we have experienced for quite some time, even before the recent student movement took place. First of all, what I would also like to highlight, as I also mentioned, is that when we were there at Jantar Mantar, something had come up through social media also, and it was a criticism that was being given by the left organizations to CJK as well, that there is no female spokesperson you have. That is something that we were also telling them, and the response that we got from them was also very ignorant in the sense that they had basically said that koi mila nahi. है ना? But then how is it that later they did induct more female spokesperson, but how is it that throughout the movement, through social media, we could constantly see women, queer people coming forward, fighting on the front line, be it with the police or be it whatever clips that were coming out of Jantar Mantar, or even protests across the country, we were seeing they were being led by women. That is something that we need to see, is because the left organizations, the progressive student organizations, most of them had strong female leadership, women and queer leadership. And that is something that needs to be acknowledged, that is something that needs to be talked about. Also, when I talk about this thing, this trolling that we've been facing, this doxing that we've been facing is not a recent event for most of us. But it is something that has surfaced on a larger scale this time, because a lot of, not just student activists, but a lot of common students, common people were also involved in the protests, and they also faced something very similar. So, when we face something, or when someone sitting behind a screen comments or writes something on our posts, their target is not me or Sahi. If they are writing something on my page, on my wall, under my video, under my picture, their target is not to silence just me or her. Their target is to silence every single woman, every single gender minority that is watching that video, that will look at the comments. So it's not just to target that one woman who is in the video or who has posted the video, but it is to silence, to scare, to make 100 other women, 1,000 other women afraid of doing something similar to what the girl in the video is doing. So that is something that we need to see also. And there is a clear pattern to these accounts, to these people. See, half of them will be these fake accounts, accounts with 1 follower, 2 followers, that people will just create to engage in such activities online, and there is a completely different population of these as well online, of people who, when you open their IDs, it's their actual Instagram, Facebook IDs, and you see that in their bio, they're very religious people. Very religious people, Jai Shri Ram, or some Mata, Jai Mata Di, or something like that, and probably with a Hanuman DP, or a Shiv DP, or a Shri Ram DP. So it's and a large, I think I would say, as Satya would agree with me here. So the majority of those people have similar Instagram bios, Facebook bios, and their display pictures are similar. So there is a clear pattern that we see to this, right? And what sort of women do they wish to silence? It's not just about the question of women, the intersectionality of it all also comes into play here. I would get into that later, but I think since we've been called here, I think we can also, I would like to share our experience of what we face, what so many of us face, and how graphic and how disgusting it is. So from doxing to rape threats is a common thing that is there, death threats is a common thing that is there. A few days back, I was at home with my parents, and my dad was going through my comments. I can't stop my parents. I've asked them not to look at the comments, but they don't, they still go through them. And my dad, he was like, oh listen, someone has like edited your photo with them, like a wedding scene or something, and he was laughing about it. Then I saw the picture, and it was me, like AI generated picture of me with a porn star. Porn actor, yeah. And then for a moment I thought, oh, how do I tell this to my dad that this is not, but then I did tell him, and of course all of us were very disturbed by that. So AI generated images is something that we saw in our comment sections a lot. Not just that, a lot of pictures that were being circulated online were of women in revealing clothes or in some sort of certain body type. Women that are not real, women that don't exist, but they were created and then being circulated to sort of tarnish and to delegitimize the protest that was happening by attacking the women. Right? There can be 100 different criticisms. You can have 100 different political opinions to sort of differentiate yourself from the protest, to have a different opinion from that of the protest. But why do you resort to targeting the women, to questioning that woman does not just remain a woman after all, then she becomes about where she comes from, what she's wearing, what her body looks like, the way she is talking. So you get reduced to these multiple smaller things instead of an individual who's talking about, I am a student, you are taking away my education from me. But that does not remain the point after all. The point becomes that you are a woman, how dare you speak up about this particular thing? You are going against the norm of that we have created for women for so long कि आप नहीं बात कर सकते हैं, आपकी जगह नहीं है ये बात करने के लिए, आप अगर आपसे शिक्षा ली जा रही है तो वो सही है, आपको उसकी ज़रूरत नहीं है, तो आप घर पे बैठिए, चूल्हा चौका कीजिए उसी तरीके से जिन वैल्यूज़ को हम अफोर्ड कर रहे हैं उन्हीं वैल्यूज़ को आप भी अफोर्ड कीजिए और उसी ज़िंदगी में जिए। जैसे ही आप उन वैल्यूज़ से आगे बढ़ती हैं, जैसे ही आप उन्हें डिफाई करती हैं, आप पब्लिक स्फीयर में आती हैं, वैसे ही आपको रेप थ्रेट दिया जाएगा, आपको डेथ थ्रेट दिया जाएगा। एंड रेप थ्रेट ऑनलाइन इज नॉट जस्ट अ रेप थ्रेट ऑनलाइन, it affects each and every part of our lives. The other day, one of our comrades, Gupta, who is the JNU-SU vice president currently, she got a text that basically said that कि बीजेपी के बारे में बोलना बंद कर दो. I will. I'm sorry, this is going to be a little graphic. I'm sorry. I will rape you, stab you, cut your breasts off, hug you while you are taking your last breath and feel your soul leaving your body. And you, women, scumbag, do you want to be the next Nirbhaya? When we talk about, as a country, when we talk about cases like Nirbhaya, we expect as people to come together and condemn something like that happened. Not in our wildest dream would we think that anyone, a fellow human being, would subject you to something like this, right, as a country. Even the most patriarchal man that you would meet, you would not expect him to say something like this. But this is something that is happening, and the end remark is stop messing with BJP. That is what was said to her. And then, the funny part is, the sad part also at the same time is that when we are getting these DMs, these direct messages, these comments, or Gopika after this posted this screenshot saying that, see, this has happened. Meta took down this post saying that it goes against community guidelines and it's showing sexual harassment. When we report that this person, when we report these DMs, when we report these comments, then the simple response that we get from Meta, from Instagram and Facebook is that this does not go against our community guidelines. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. You cannot win. There are laws, as Apar also clearly said that there are laws, but they mean nothing. They mean nothing because when you report these people, when you post something that this has happened to me, it's your own. I am being sexually harassed here. I am the one posting this and saying that this is happening. You are telling me we remove this post because it highlights sexual harassment. It's completely ridiculous. The sort of things that we go through. You also have to see, like, it's also very identity based in the sense that while at Jantar Mantar we were singing the song Hum Dekhenge, and it was a bunch of us. There were men, there were women, queer people singing the song all together. And of course, then the part comes where it says, Bas naam rahega Allah ka. And that triggered a lot of people online, right? All the fairs wrote it opposing the fundamentalist Islamic fundamentalist regime at that point of time. But that does not matter as it now to them. So that video, when it was posted online, till this date, I think it has been months now, and that video is constantly getting comments. It has more comments than it has views. And what are these comments? Very few comments criticizing us or abusing us as a group singing hum dekhenge, or as young men and women singing hum dekhenge. But the majority of the comments are for the women singing hum dekhenge. That how could you, how dare you? Because the dignity, the izzat of the country relies on the women of the country. How dare you say बस नाम रहेगा अल्लाह का? तो जितनी गालियाँ, जितनी बुरी बातें, जितने abuses हैं, most of them are being directed to the women in that video, singing that song. Not to us as a group, not to us as a political left organization, but to the women of this particular left organization singing a song that says Bas naam rahega Allah, which was written in a completely different context. But that context does not matter to them at all. Then something else that I also would want to talk about is how the media did a complete blackout. Right, the mainstream media did a complete blackout, and these videos were able to reach to the people in their raw for how things were being done at Jantar Mandir, because the mainstream media was not covering it, and that is why every cell phone, every smartphone basically became the mainstream media. So the mainstream went from these big news channels and reels became the mainstream target here. Something else that we experienced was the surveillance there. When we first went to Jantar Mandir, the first day that we were there, we saw these photographers and we thought that okay, maybe they are freelance photographers, and there were like 30-40 of them, and then we later saw their dress and they were all Delhi police photographers. So they would come close to your face, take your pictures, right, constantly, and there was FRT, facial recognition technology being used there. All of us saw all of that. Question is how that affects the participation of women itself. How surveillance affects the participation of women in itself. Now, any woman who wants to be, used to get multiple DMs from women saying that schoolgirls, that we want to come, we want to join this protest, we agree with this cause, but we can't because of कहीं मीडिया पे फेस आ गया, रील पे फेस आ गया, और फिर दिल्ली पुलिस के लोग फोटो खींच रहे हैं. So that fear, that entire जो माहौल, जो डर का माहौल जो बनाया जा रहा था, वो ही पहले स्टेप पे औरतों को रोक देता है आने से. फिर जो लड़ाई झगड़ के, घर पे झूठ बोल के, जिस भी तरीके से अपना चेहरा कवर करके जो महिलाएं वहाँ पे पहुँच भी रही थी, उनके साथ में इस तरीके का जो है बर्ताव हो रहा था. These Delhi police photographers, even when women were sleeping at night, they would go and take their pictures. कि कौन है जो रात में रुक रही है लड़कियाँ. तो इस तरीके की चीजें जो है जो constantly we were facing that. So again, the point of all of this is that we have been facing this for a long time. It's more intersectional than it is for women only. A few days ago, few months ago, when the UGC guidelines for universities was basically put a stay on, and we did a protest against it. At that time, one of my videos went viral because people did not like that I was saying the Jai Bhim slogan. I was saying the Jai Bhim slogan, and I was in support of something. I was in support of minorities of this country getting more representation in universities and having a proper redressal mechanism. And that video faced so much. To this day, like this was like 6 months back. To this day, I get comments, I get abuses on that video. And from that video, my pictures were taken into different Facebook posts were being made, saying how this person should be killed and raped and whatnot. So it's not just about Yeah. It's not just about, oh, a woman is saying something. It is also about what she's saying, what sort of people they are, and what sort of things they don't want you to say, essentially. So, that is what essentially I think we can share our experience only. Rest the technicalities of it, the other panelists can cover. But essentially, the lesson is not to silence me. I am not the one being taught the lesson. I'm not the only one that is being taught the lesson by these people. It is the 100,000 lakhs of other women, children who will read these comments, who will watch these posts, my family, everybody that knows us. It is to silence and scare all of these people also.
Thank you so much for your candid expression. And this actually is the the experiential aspect of it, which should fuel change and should motivate larger changes in the ecosystem. But it's like a cry in the wilderness, but we will continue to cry. So I'm over to you.
Yeah, thank you so much for inviting us. And because me and Charanya have been at Jantar Mandir together, we did most of our coverage. So a lot of our experience are same. And so that I do not repeat what she said, I would like to start with, rather than my experience, I would like to start with one of our comrades, who I cannot name, I don't think so I should, but she is a fierce comrade. She was on Jantar Mantar every day, helping us, with us, organizing things. This is what we did at Jantar Mantar. Our aim was that we stay there, we stay on the ground, we say our demands, and the people who are coming there, we also make them connect with us. Our idea was that we also let out our political senses and we politicize people who are coming along with us. We do creative cultural events that can connect people more. So we were doing it, and she was there the whole time. She was very actively in, okay, I will make videos, I will make this and that. But since the protest has ended, and since then the trolling, doxing, harassment has taken a huge leap. It is so much more than what was happening when the protest was going on. And her videos were taken on Instagram, posted by random people that we have no idea about. There were horrible comments about her body, about her presence in the protest, and that reached her family. And her family wants her back in the house to marry her off. This is what it takes for a student to go raise their voice, because, and there we have families who are patriarchal. Me and Charanya are sitting here because our families understand. They are not that patriarchal to start with. Thank you to our families also. But there are students, there are women who do not have families who are open-minded, progressive. They are all very patriarchal, very deep-rooted patriarchal families in corners of the countries from where women are coming to Delhi to study. So she is now not able to come up in any of, can't be the face of anything, cannot register her presence that strongly like she used to do, because her family has so much pressure. And what starts here is the victim blaming. That you are getting bad comments, it's your fault. It's your fault that people are calling you with certain words. It's your fault that you have brought shame on our families. This is what it costs for a woman to just be there, be somewhere. And what we learned through this, that we have seen trolling, harassment. It is not the first time that it's happening in our country. We have seen it for years. We've seen it through WhatsApp University. They are now on Instagram. We have seen it through WhatsApp a lot. We have seen it through Facebook a lot. There has been, we have seen, I was a kid looking at good my head's issues, looking the woman, toolkit women, these kind of phrases we have seen. It was new for us because we experienced it and we witnessed it. And what we understand is that the fear they want us to feel, the fear that rapists they want us to feel is their political weapon, so that they can silence our political voice. They have, that's their aim. Whenever I have gone outside, and I have not bought a mask till now, but I do have it in the back of my head that I should get one. And whenever I have gone outside, honestly, I'm telling you all honestly, I have had amazing experiences with people who have recognized me. I have people come and say very nice things, very appreciative things that has happened. But because people are recognizing me outside and the rape threats, the death threats, the harassment online, it makes me fear going outside that, oh, what if one day a bad guy recognizes me? And even though I have not had those experiences, but I still fear because they want us to fear. They want to use our fear as their political weapon. To start from my experience in Jantar Mantar, there is this interesting thing. As a queer person, as an openly queer person, I want to talk about the role of queer people in Jantar Mantar's protest also. There were, in my knowledge, there has been very less queer people who have come out in years. But at Jantar Mantar, we had so many queer people that we did meetings of queer students, specific queer student meetings there. And we discussed what is happening at Jantar Mantar with queer students. So, just like women are content for a lot of influencers, media people, queer people are also very good content for them. For very good content for them to use it to delegitimize the protest. They do not want to believe that queer people can be students. Queer students can also have the same issue that everybody is facing in education system. Queer students have been systematically thrown out of education system. They are thrown out of their houses when they are young. For them to get education is a very long process. Then also when they reach colleges, higher education schools, they do not have infrastructures, they do not have policies that can help them navigate through life. And then queer phobia, transphobia, specifically transphobia, is so high in our society, in our education system as well. I, as a queer person, as a non-binary trans person, I made this video on first day of protest, 20th of June. This, you must have seen. Yeah, I made that video, it went very good, people appreciated it. But then there was this content creator who took that video, took my ID screenshots and said things like, लोग इन पे हाथ सेक के चले जाते होंगे. And said horrible things like कि ये इसको पुलिस से बात नहीं करनी आती. He publicly made a video of me on like a troll video, what we call hate video, where they use your face. Since that video has been out, that's when I noticed that there is an increase in hate comments. Before that, I was getting very appreciative comments from people, very appreciative comments. That video triggered the cell that goes to people and do these comments. And noticing this also that there were repetition of people who would come and comment. We could see, oh, I see this DP. This guy has commented on 6 of my videos. We could notice all of these things. That it's a cell. It's an organized body who's going and distributing this fear and hate and rape threats and death threats. That guy has repeatedly made very queerphobic content, very transphobic content that says that ये तो students लग ही नहीं रहे हैं, they are not students, why are they in that protest? Comments like that. And he has called me आलू बेचने वाली लग रही है, all of these, as if that will offend me. But they use these kind of terms. So there, apart from just the trolls and hate comments in our DMs, in our direct messages, there are people who are actively making content against people also, actively using their IDs and everything. My video, the na 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 video, has been removed by Meta on Instagram. 5 of my videos are unavailable in India to watch, which includes Basbin and Mia video also, which has 40 million views. This video, Nana video, had over 11 million views. This video is not there anymore. That video still exists. That uses my exact video, is saying horrible rape threats, comments on me. That video still exists. That video I reported on Instagram, I reported to community guidelines, and they said it does not violate community guidelines. But you know what violated community guidelines on my account? I posted a video, I posted 3 of my pictures on Instagram after 20th July police brutality, where my shirt was torn, I was dragged on the street, and I had whole back covered in dirt. I had bruises on my arms. I posted that. 3 of those photographs. After a few days, Instagram said that this is adult sexual exploitation and we are removing your content. I was exploited, brother. I posted that I have been through this, and I posted, and they said, you have exploited community content. That led my account, reach went down. That led for Instagram to put restrictions on me that I cannot go live and everything. And thank you to the journalists also. There has been times when journalists have reached out to me and taken up this issue. I've talked about this a lot. And I talked to one of the journalists who looked into this matter and talked to us, met a spokesperson also. That post is fortunately back now. That restriction has been removed after the journalist talked to the Meta spokesperson. And that is back, but 5 of those videos are not back because it is removed under local law. It is removed under Indian Technology Act. So nothing can be done on it. So that's the thing. Meta also does not have the power to walk over the local law. And this is what I have learned. But they had to apologize to Modi ji for removing their very bad angle video. Yeah. So, and one thing about how it also affects us, when we also talk to journalists, when we are repeatedly coming out and talking about the harassment that we have gone through, I have to call and do this. So it also makes us revisit all of those experiences again and again. We are choosing to talk about this because we can. There are a lot of women who cannot. So this is also a thing that we have to revisit all of our. Because journalists ask for screenshots, they ask for, can you send us? We want to know the level of this thing. I was talking to a journalist recently and he asked for screenshots. Then they will be like, then I have to go through all my DMs, all my direct messages, open them, look for those languages, screenshot it and send. Then that means I have to make myself go through all of those comments, all of those horrible rape threats, death threats. And I know journalists have also, they have worked when they'll ask, oh, I can read a lot of rape threats, can you specifically send your death threats to me? Journalists need content. My mother is a journalist, I do not blame you all. But this is also that I wanted to highlight, that to also talk to journalists, to also make sure that our voices reach out. We have to go through these things. We have to know what they are actually telling us. For a very long time when we were at General, me and Chennai used to discuss that how we have stopped looking at our notifications. How we have stopped looking. We are just posting our content. Okay, to reach somebody, but we have stopped looking at what people are telling us to do. So these are certain experiences that I wanted to talk about. And yeah, thanks. Any roundup? I mean, no, I think you are
Yeah, thank you so much for bearing your soul literally, and also what you spoke about. That you can, and there are so many people in your generation who can't. So there are many levels of obstacles, but the biggest level of obstacle is out there in the digital space itself, and the people who are have the, I mean, as puppets on a string, they have all the strings in their hand. But this is the larger challenge, huge challenge. So thank you so much.
Very bold event.
Amazing.
I don't think you would have had it.
Yeah, we fall short like, oh, but anyway, at least we are able to hear them, and we are living through these times. So it's really, we feel that this is a shot in the arm for all generations across all political spheres. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for sharing. Hand over to Mr. Professor Mukesh.
Thank you so much. आपने एक वीडियो देखा होगा कि महाराष्ट्र से दुर्गा का, जिसमें एक 7-8 साल की बच्ची है, बरमूडा पहनी हुई है और उसकी वजह से उसको मारा पीटा है। उसको तो नहीं, उसके पेरेंट्स को मारा पीटा है। काफी बड़ा दंगा जैसा वहां बना। 7-8 साल की बच्ची, उसके बरमूडा पहनने पर यह रिएक्शन हो रहा है। वो कोई मोदी जी से सवाल नहीं पूछ रही, उसकी कोई असहमति नहीं थी कहीं किसी चीज से। ये इसका जिक्र मैं इसलिए कर रहा हूं कि बात कहां तक पहुंच गई और कहां तक चुप कराने की, जो साइलेंस करने की कोशिशें चल रही हैं, वो कितनी संगीन होती जा रही है। पिछले 7-8 साल से हम लोग इन विषयों पर बात कर रहे हैं, गुल्ली डील और क्या क्या, गुल्ली डील, गुल्ली भाई वगैरह वगैरह, ये सब बीच में हुआ है। जाने कितनी कॉन्फ्रेंसेस मैंने खुद करवाई होगी जेंडर इश्यूज पर, मीडिया में जेंडर के सवाल पर रिसर्च पेपर लिखवाए होंगे जब मैं यूनिवर्सिटी से था। बात घूम फिर कर वही चल रही है। मुझे लगता है, माफ कीजिएगा, कि हम उससे आगे नहीं बढ़ पा रहे हैं। डिस्कशन 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 डिस्कशन, मुझे लगता है एक्शन का टाइम है। जो जेन जी और जेन अल्फा ने हमें बताया है, वो ये कह रहा है कि भाई साहब, बात करने से कुछ नहीं होगा। ठीक है, डेमोक्रेसी में डिस्कशन होना चाहिए, डायलॉग होना चाहिए, लेकिन अब उससे बात आगे निकल चुकी है। एलिफेंट आपके कमरे में दाखिल हो चुका है, हम उसके बारे में बात करने से कतरा रहे हैं। ये कोई ऐसी चीज नहीं हो रही है जो यूं ही हो जा रही है। कुछ लोग हैं सिरफिरे, वो कर रहे हैं। ये बात नहीं है, ये विशुद्ध रूप से एक राजनीतिक योजना के तहत हो रहा है। ये जब तक हम स्वीकार नहीं करेंगे, तब तक हम आगे बढ़ ही नहीं सकते। ये जो कुछ हो रहा है, ये बाकायदा इसके पीछे एक पॉलिटिक्स है, और उनको, उस पॉलिटिक्स को हमें पहचानना पड़ेगा, और फिर हमें अपनी रणनीति बनानी पड़ेगी कि हम इसे, आप कंडेमनेशन कर देंगे क्या? आप एक प्रेस रिलीज जारी कर देंगे? अभी तक हुआ क्या? ठीक कहा अपार जी ने कि कानून तो बन रहे हैं, जब वो विल ही नहीं है कि उनको इम्प्लीमेंट किया जाएगा, तो फिर कानून बनते रहे, आप उसमें मील निकालते रहे, उसके सुधार की बात करते रहे। ठीक है, वो भी जरूरी है, मैं उसको नकार नहीं रहा हूँ, उससे इनकार नहीं कर रहा हूँ, लेकिन जो रिजीम है वो, आप देखिए, आप अगर, आपको जो लोग ऑनलाइन बुली कर रहे हैं या हैरास कर रहे हैं, आप उनके चेहरे निकालिए, वो कहाँ उनके कनेक्शन है, कहाँ जुड़ रहे हैं। मोहम्मद जुबैर को देखिए, कोई घटना होती है वो बताते हैं कि देखिए पार्टी से हैं और फला मंत्री के साथ, और यहाँ तक कि गृह मंत्री और प्रधानमंत्री के साथ भी इनके फोटो है। ये पूरा जो कनेक्शन है इसको हमें समझना पड़ेगा, इस पर अटैक करना पड़ेगा, नहीं तो हम बातचीत करते रहेंगे। ये डिटेल्स जो अभी शेयर की ये लोगों ने, ये डिटेल इस छोटे से ऑडियंस में, हम अपने इको चैम्बर में हैं, हम सब एक दूसरे से सहमत हैं, किसी को यहाँ पर किसी से असहमति नहीं है, क्योंकि हम सब एक ही विचार वाले लोग हैं। ये विचार बाहर जा नहीं रहे, इससे बाहर जो लोग जिन तक पहुंचना चाहिए उन तक नहीं पहुंच रहा है। हम आपस में ही बतियाए जा रहे हैं, इससे आगे कैसे बढ़े बात, इस पर सोचना चाहिए। हमें देखना चाहिए कि क्या हम कोई एक नया एक्शन प्लान बना सकते हैं। अगर इंस्टाग्राम एक ऐसी रिवॉल्यूशन बन गया है जो मजबूर कर देता है प्रधानमंत्री को आधी रात को एक वीडियो बनाकर डालने के लिए, तो इसका मतलब है कि उसकी ताकत को हम जर्नलिस्ट नहीं पहचान पाए। हमने कभी उसका इस्तेमाल, बहुत कम लोग इस्तेमाल करते हैं इस पर, ज्यादातर जर्नलिस्ट ट्विटर पे होंगे, फेसबुक पर। वो जो जनरेशन एक नए तरह से खड़ी हो रही, नए तरह से सोच रही है, जो जंतर मंतर पर इकट्ठी हुई थी, जो आधी रात को भी वहां बच्चे थे और कोई ऐसी घटना हमें सुनने को नहीं मिली कि किसी कोई ईव टीजिंग हुई हो, किसी बच्ची को परेशान किया गया हो। वो कौन सा माहौल था? और ये जो सोशल मीडिया पर जो माहौल हम देखते हैं, जो लगातार टारगेट करता रहता है, और अगर वो माइनॉरिटीज की वुमेन हुई तो उनको और भी ज्यादा टारगेट किया। सबसे पहले तो उन्हीं को टारगेट किया गया, फिर उसके बाद ये दायरा बढ़ता चला गया। जो भी हमें क्रिटिसाइज करेगा वो हमारा दुश्मन है, हमें उसे डराना है, और उसको डराकर बाकी जो सोच रहे हैं कि विरोध करें उनको भी चुप कराना है। तो ये तो एक बहुत ही आजमाया हुआ, सोचा समझा एक ऐसा हथकंडा है जो दुनिया भर में बार बार इस्तेमाल किया जाता है। ये कोई नई घटना हमारे हिंदुस्तान में नहीं घट रही। हम इसे उस रूप में नहीं देख रहे हैं, या शायद देखना नहीं चाहते, क्योंकि जैसे ही आप ये मान लेंगे कि ये सारी चीजें राजनीति से हो रही हैं, राजनीतिक उद्देश्य से हो रही हैं, आपको अपनी स्ट्रेटजी बदलनी पड़ेगी, आपको आगे आना पड़ेगा, नए औजार आपको ढूंढने पड़ेंगे लड़ने के, कि भाई क्या हम भी धरना प्रदर्शन के लिए जाएं, क्या हम भी राजनीतिक दलों के पास जाएं और पूछें कि आप अपनी जरा हमें बताइए कि डिजिटल पॉलिसी क्या है इन सब मामलों पर। क्या हम उन चेहरों को आइडेंटिफाई करें जो इस तरह की हरकतें कर रहे हैं, उनको घेरा जाए, उनके परिवार वालों से बात की जाए। जैसे उस 15 साल की बच्ची ने जो कह दिया था, उसको कितना माफी मांगना पड़ा उसको। तो वो तो बहुत ही सुनियोजित ढंग से ये कर रहे हैं, यहां पर हमारे पास उसकी कोई जवाब नहीं। हम क्या सरकार पर दूसरे तरह से दबाव बना सकते हैं? क्या करें हम ऐसा? क्या हम नेताओं का घेराव करें, उन मंत्रियों का घेराव करें जिनकी जिम्मेदारी है इस तरह की चीजों को रोकने की, उन पुलिस थानों में जाएं जिनका काम है इन सब चीजों को रोकने का, उन अधिकारियों से मिले, कुछ हम अपने ऐसे दस्ते बनाए जो अलग अलग शहरों में इस तरह के लोगों को आइडेंटिफाई करें, या वहां पर अगर कुछ एक्शन लेना है तो वहां करें। मेरे कहने का मतलब ये है कि हम लोग जानते हैं, सब जानते हैं कि ये क्या हो रहा है, क्या हो रहा है, लगातार हो रहा है, और किस लिए हो रहा है ये भी हम समझते हैं। ये बात हम कैसे अपने से बाहर के दायरे में समझाने लग जाए, क्या हम और वर्कशॉप्स कर सकते हैं बाहर जाकर, और लोगों से मिल सकते हैं, कुछ इस तरह के कार्यक्रम कर सकते हैं इंटरेक्शन, जिसमें दूसरे तरह के लोग आए, पेरेंट्स आए, उनको बताया जाए कि क्या हो रहा है। कानून की लड़ाई एक जगह है जहां पर आप ये जो जितने भी इंफॉर्मेशन टेक्नोलॉजी से जुड़े, साइबर से जुड़े नियम कानून हैं, उनको लगातार जांचते परखते रहते हैं, आप अपने तरफ से उनके सुधार की बात करते हैं। लेकिन जब हम देख रहे हैं कि हमारी अदालतें किस तरह से बिहेव कर रही हैं, किस तरह से बिल्कुल ब्लेटेंटली बायस्ड है, हमारे आपके इश्यूज को सुनने को तैयार नहीं है, उनको डाइवर्ट कर देती हैं, तो हम अदालत में जाकर क्या करेंगे, कब तक लड़ेंगे? वो एक अलग तरह का हैरासमेंट शुरू हो जाता है। वो लड़ाई कैसे लड़ेगा इंडिविजुअल? तो हमें अब बाद में रिएक्ट करने से पहले, भाई फलाने एक पोस्ट डाली, ट्रोल ने उसके ऊपर जो चाहे लिख दिया, उसका जो चाहे कर दिया, काम तो उसने कर दिया, आपकी बदनामी हो गई, आपके वीडियोस के साथ छेड़छाड़ की, वो सब हो गया, अब आप एक्शन लेते रहिए। मुझे पता नहीं है कि वो जो सुल्ली हिल थी उसका क्या हुआ, शायद देर पर छूट गए, वो भी छूट गए। तो जो इतना बड़ा क्राइम था, आप सोचिए हमारे बिरादरी की पत्रकारों को ऑनलाइन ऑक्शनिंग हो रही है, इतना भयानक। वो उस पर कोई कार्रवाई अभी तक ठोस नहीं हुई और बाकी सब चल रहे हैं। सोशल मीडिया पर कितने ऐसे हैंडल्स हैं जो सिर्फ यही कर रहे हैं, उनको रोकने वाला कोई नहीं है। ये एक अच्छा सा वीडियो डालेंगे, उसको रोकने के लिए उनके पास गाइडलाइंस। ये जो पूरे बड़े बड़े सोशल मीडिया प्लेटफॉर्म्स हैं, वो इसी तरह के कंटेंट पर फर्क मिल रहे हैं, वायलेंस, हेट्रेड, सेक्स, वो कंट्रोल करने के लिए तैयार नहीं है। उसकी चिंता हमारी सरकार को नहीं है, लेकिन प्रधानमंत्री का वीडियो 10-15 मिनट के लिए गायब होता है तो मेटा को बुला के धमका दिया जाता है। ये एक बहुत गंभीर समय में हम पहुंच गए, ये हमें रियलाइज करना पड़ेगा। अब ये वो मोड़ नहीं रह गया है, वो जगह, वो मुकाम नहीं रह गया है जहां पर केवल बातें हुई, बातों के आगे हम क्या, अगर हम कोई एक अलग से एक वर्कशॉप करें और उसमें सोचें कि अब हम और आगे क्या कर सकते हैं, कुछ ऐसे स्टेप्स क्या ले सकते हैं, तो मुझे लगता है कि कुछ हम और आगे बढ़ सकते हैं। आप लोगों को भी इन्वॉल्व किया जा सकता है बात करने में। तो मेरे ख्याल से आगे बढ़ने की बात होनी चाहिए। बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया, थैंक यू।
Thank you sir so much. You rounded it up to the next steps. मतलब किस तरह से ये जो आक्रोश है ग्राउंड में और जो lived experiences हैं, उसको किस तरह से सिस्टमैटिक तरीके से आवाज देके to try and influence policy. So that's the big hope. So thank you all. Thank you very much. I know you people are in a rush, so I'll hand over to my colleague Sir Satya.
आप लोगों से काफ़ी चीज़ें ऐसी इंसिडेंट्स पता चले और हम देख रहे थे, पढ़ भी रहे थे, सारे वीडियोज भी दिख रहे थे, लेकिन आप लोगों ने जिस तरह शेयर किया वो बहुत ही मतलब दिल को छूने वाला था। डॉक्टर मुकेश, मैं आपसे एक वो बात करनी थी कि आपने बहुत अच्छा कहा कि बातें तो सब करते हैं और बहुत ज़्यादा हम लोग डिस्कशन भी करते हैं, लेकिन एक उसमें नहीं आए हैं अभी तक कि हमें एक सटीक मतलब करना क्या है इसके लिए, क्योंकि ये सब तो बढ़ता ही जा रहा है। लेकिन फिर भी मुझे ये लगता है कि जो भी कोई कंटेंट थोड़ा सा भी विवाद में आता है वो एकदम पे वायरल हो जाता है। तो क्या इसका फॉर्मेट कुछ इस तरह का है कि क्या इस फॉर्मेट में ही कोई हुआ है कि जो तुरंत कोई चीज़ वायरल हो जाती है जो कंटेंट थोड़ा सा भी विवाद में होता है? तो आपका इसके बारे में अपर
साथ में प्रश्न ले लेते हैं सारे क्लियरली होंगे। मैं वो बता दूंगा, साथ में ले लें।
और सबके लिए शोभना जी।
मैं शोभना जैन हूँ। मेरा अभी क्वेश्चन नहीं है, मेरा एक ऑब्जर्वेशन है मुकेश जी और ये तो हमारी यहाँ मैडम है। क्वेश्चन नहीं है, ऑब्जर्वेशन है मेरा कि जैसे आप ये कह रहे हैं कि अभी इससे आगे सोचना पड़ेगा। मुझे लगता है ये जो हाल का घटनाक्रम हुआ है ये एक बड़ा झटका है और ये शुरुआत हमें माननी चाहिए कि ये नई बच्चियाँ जिससे सही मायने में इसका आज़ाद सोच है और हमारी जैसे हमारी जनरेशन सोच तो हमारा भी आज़ाद था, लेकिन इतनी सारी के रास्ते में बाधाएं नहीं, ऐसा नहीं। तो मेरा सिर्फ ये कहना है कि हमें मानना चाहिए कि ये एक शुरुआत है और ये बड़ा झटका है जिसे सब सीरिया अपना बयान बैलेंस करते हैं, वापस लेते हैं, पीएम हमारे फ्रेंड्स करने लगते हैं। तो इन चीज़ों को हम शुरुआत मान के आगे बढ़ें, ये मेरा ऑब्जर्वेशन। और क्वेश्चन हमारे साथी पूछेंगे, उसके बाद अगर टाइम ही ना कंक्लूड कर सकते
आपको
Anybody wants to ask?
So my question is to Satya.
My
question is to Satya. Okay. I'm Ravi Kaushal. I'm a journalist by profession. My question is to Satya. Satya, you engage with a lot of students, particularly students coming from a minority background. Now, what's happening after these protests concluded? We are seeing that the students who are coming from minority communities, are they kind of backtracking now, fearing doxing and let's say revenge kind of thing? What's there? Because I'm missing a lot of faces now who were there in the protest but now are less interested in talking and sharing about their impact.
So my question, of course, is somewhat general. As Apar says that the safeguards within the law is not going to make so much of an impact, right? And then because of the capitalist nature, the ownership of these big companies, right? Software companies, etc. So what I want to ask is from you two also, that if the only solution, also for you also, if the only solution is the political participation of young persons, let me say, in either as a student or maybe later, in order to change the nature of politics in the country today, and otherwise to somehow counter the right way narrative that has seeped so much deep into our system today.
सर मेरा एक प्रश्न है अपार से खासकर, ये ऑनलाइन जो ट्रोलिंग होती है इसका कोई कानून बना है या बनना है कि ये कर रहे हैं मुस्लिम औरतों के साथ ही है, हिंदू और जो भी मोदी को पसंद नहीं आता वो सबको गाली देते हैं। मैंने एक क्वेश्चन पवन प्रिया से कुछ पूछा था, मुझे जो ऑनलाइन गालियाँ मिली हैं आप मतलब शर्म आ गई। तो ये मेरा है कि इसमें कोई कानून वगैरह कुछ है, और ये 2-2 रुपए के लिए ट्रोल करते हैं।
Before I answer these questions, I think the discussion that was also happening here essentially about generations. बार बार जो बात हो रही है वो हो रही है that Gen Z is such a revolutionary generation that Gen Z is not tolerating any of this. I feel that reduces the argument to just a generation, right? As student activists, as left student activists, activists of SFI, we have political opponents, people who did not speak up even once during the entirety of student protests happening. Student organizations like IWPC, they did not speak up. Instead, they condemned the violence happening on the police on the 20th. Right? So, when we are also we are sitting here to have this discussion, it is also important for us to say this again and again that it is not just Gen Z, it is not a Gen Z protest. It is a protest, it was a protest for education. The issue was of education, and because currently Gen Z is the generation that is getting the most affected by it, the larger participation was by these people. Essentially, it is a people's movement, it is an issue-based movement that the poor kids are not able to reach education. The education is not reaching higher education, or primary education is not reaching poor kids. 90,000 government schools have been closed or merged. That is the issue. It's not about Gen Z. The only solution to that is also by organizing. Right. The question was that is asked that अब protest के बाद क्या हो रहा है? ऐसे बहुत से चेहरे हैं जो उस तरीके से नजर नहीं आ रहे हैं. तो उसका आई थिंक बहुत सिंपल आंसर है कि हम लोग स्टूडेंट्स हैं. राइट. अभी जब इत्तेफाक से जब ये प्रोटेस्ट चल रहा था तो समर वेकेशन भी चल रहा था. So most of us are students, we have to study, they have brought in a strict attendance criteria now. So most of us have to go back to our colleges, to our institutes to study, complete that attendance criteria. और तो इस तरीके का कुछ नहीं है. जंतर मंतर एक स्पेस था जहाँ पे सब लोग आ रहे थे, कुछ भी रिकॉर्ड हो रहा था, किसी भी तरीके से हम बाहर उसे भेज पा रहे थे. तो वहाँ पे एक स्पेस था जब फ्री थे, हम उस तरीके से चीज़ें कर पा रहे थे. इसके पीछे कोई लार्जर बात इस तरीके से नहीं है. बाकी जैसे सखी ने कहा, कुछ लोगों का हमारे पार्टिसिपेशन इस वजह से भी रुका है क्योंकि what they are facing online also. So there are comrades of ours who have had to face things from their families and have had to take a little step back from being in the public eye, which is a result of this entire online trolling, boxing, ये सारी जो चीज़ें हो रही हैं उनकी वजह से. तो ये दो प्राइमरी इसके जवाब हैं. दूसरा, I think Satya will also elaborate on what you asked, that political participation is the only tool. If that is the only way forward, yes it is. सालों से हमको ये एक लिबरल डेमोक्रेसी में रहने की वजह से हमको बार बार ये सिखाया गया है. As students also we're constantly told in our classes, by the principals, by the VC, that politics is not for you. पॉलिटिक्स जो है खराब है, आप पॉलिटिक्स में घुसोगे तो आपका करियर बर्बाद हो जाएगा. दैट इज नॉट समथिंग जिसमें आपका से होना चाहिए, और एवरी सॉर्ट ऑफ पॉलिटिक्स इज बैड और आपको उससे दूर होना चाहिए. और बचपन से लेकर बड़े होने तक हमको लगातार बार बार एज ए सोसाइटी ये सिखाया जाता है, जिस वजह से आज ये हालात हैं कि हमें लोगों को ऐसे झकझोरना पड़ रहा है कि जाके अब सिचुएशन बहुत खराब हो चुकी है. तो द ओनली वे to fix this also is by realizing कि मैं ये कपड़ा पहन रही हूँ, मैं कुर्ता पहनी हूँ, मैं जीन्स पहनी हूँ, मैं चप्पल पहनी हूँ, वो पॉलिटिक्स है उसके पीछे. हम क्या खा रहे हैं, क्या पी रहे हैं, सो रहे हैं, हमारा कॉलेज में फीस बढ़ रहा है, हमारा क्या कहते हैं एक कोर्स को कंपल्सरी कर रहे हैं, है ना. आपको योगा जबरदस्ती पढ़ाया जाएगा, आपको आर्ट ऑफ बीइंग हैप्पी पढ़ाया जाएगा, बट आपका कोर्स नहीं पढ़ाया जाएगा, एनईपी को लाया जाएगा, है ना. इस एनटीए किस तरीके से पेपर कराएगा, फिर पेपर को कैंसिल कर देगा, पेपर लीक होगा. ये सब पॉलिटिक्स है. These are not things that happen in isolation. So to have that realization constantly that everything that is happening to us is political, and the only way to fix it is by realizing everything is political, by being a participant in that politics and by organizing. That is the only way forward. So yeah, I think Sakhi can also talk about it.
what हमारे साथी रवि asked कि
पॉलिटिकल पार्टिसिपेशन, इट इज़ अ फैक्ट कि कई कुछ लोग हैं जिनके पेरेंट्स मना कर रहे हैं उन्हें कि अब इतना पब्लिक आई में मत जाओ, या फिर स्क्रीन पे वीडियो में मत दो, अच्छा कोई इंटरव्यू लिख के मांग रहे तो दे दो. So there are those complications. It is there. It is true. And one factor is this also that हमारा summer vacation holiday was on Jantar Mantar. So now that our classes are back on, we need to be there. And our politics and our organizing is also in campuses. We are student organization. We are campus-based organization. So our work is also organizing people, making people collectively taking them somewhere to campuses. So that's where we are working on, and more than our social media game, we have also developed in this time that we realize that it matters, social media matters. Otherwise our work was mostly on the ground, going to the campuses every day, meeting students. That was our work, and if we are not visible, it's maybe because you all are not in our campuses, but we are in the campuses, and we are not on social media so much. Yeah. The other question that you asked also is same thing. The political participation will also happen on ground. इंटरनेट पे our fight जंग इंटरनेट पे नहीं लड़ी जाएगी, जमीन पे लड़ी जाएगी. तो उसके लिए हमारा काम अब इंटरनेट पे ही नहीं, जमीन पर है. And that's, I think, student organizations have started their work. We would appreciate if other organized people will also start their work on ground. And जैसा शरणा ने बिल्कुल बखूबी कहा कि जेन ज़ी जो जनरेशन की बात आती है, मैं भी बात कहना चाहूँगी कि हमारा जो जंतर मंतर का प्रोटेस्ट था और जो सारी स्टूडेंट ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस थी, हम भी इतना अच्छे से कर पाए क्योंकि हमसे पहले बड़े आंदोलन, किसान आंदोलन, शाहीन बाग आंदोलन, वो तो जेनजीज फेस नहीं थे ना. वो तो आप की जनरेशन के लोग थे, मेरे माँ बाप की जनरेशन के लोग थे, जो अभी हमें परेशान कर रहे हैं, जो कुर्सी पे बैठे हुए हैं, वो भी मतलब डोंट माइंड, बट आपकी जनरेशन के ही लोग हैं. They are your generation people. Boomers, Gen X. So the thing is कि ये अभी इसलिए हमारे लिए यूनिक था, is because it was the first time we saw such large population of young people coming and using ways that were not used before. Using humor, using memes, using dufflies. Dufflies were not so. They were there. Yeah, humor was there. When Gen Z was also there before, when Jamia NCNRC was going on, it was painted in a very different way. They had to face tear gas inside their camp. I am a Jamia alumni, and I have heard stories from my seniors. When CNRC was going on, I was in school. But then I joined Jamia. I got to know about the history, how their libraries were like Delhi police barged and beat students. Yes, they had that kind of things to tolerate on them. They had also did a very good youth protest on ground. But the issue with us right now also in the world of internet is that everything feels like a trend and we forget about it after some time. And whatever current is going on feels like yeah, amazing. Kisan Andolan was a thing that I saw as a school student, and I was immensely inspired to be there. I was in school when I saw CNRC going on, and that's when I heard about Jamia, and that's why I wanted to join that thing. So it's not our first time that we are doing it. I am sure it was not people's first time doing it. It is just something new, something which little more sparkles. That's why it is visible more. I think that's what I want.
So I don't know why things go viral and why things don't go viral. And a lot depends both on the content, how people interact with it, as well as what is the platform algorithm. Platform algorithm determines it quite often. And of course there have been some studies, but those studies will then be limited to a point in time and a specific platform and how that algorithm is at that point in time, as well as the audience and the community. So I don't know why it is so violent. One of my clips which is shared the most was on Digi Yatra, and the audio while recording it went off. The video is of terrible quality, and yet it was shared. So I don't know why these things happen. But yes, we should have oversight. We should know why these things are happening as well, so we can understand much better. And just in terms of what Shobnaji was saying, I think so. The digital space is a very important space to protect for any kind of political organizing and advocacy. Of course, I completely agree with both of you that on-ground presence is important. It's a multiplier in many ways, because if you don't have that connection alongside your digital presence, then neither are you visible and neither can you act. But when you have both drivers together, it's a it is a capitalism force in a sense, right? And we've seen that, and this government knows that from what has happened in Tamil Nadu elections, for instance, right? So what is most important, I think so, after this dhakka, as you said, Shobnaji, if you want more knock-ons onto this domino, and this domino has to fall. If you want any kind of reform today, this domino has to fall to the last biggest piece, which is the prime minister, right? And I'm not shy of saying this, because I have worked within this system, hoping for any kind of reform for years at end. But it is an absence of intent. It is an absence of intent and a presence of malevolence, complete malevolence, in which they want to grab resources and they just want to enjoy it. And they're supremely incompetent and lazy people. They're supremely incompetent and lazy people. All they can do is very low-level contracting or promotional events, in which the roof will start leaking. The hallmark of their showpiece infrastructure within 2 kilometers of India Gate is all of it leaks. You will know this era by seepage. Okay? So you have to protect the digital space. And why I'm saying this is, if 5 of your videos are not available today, right? That is protest. That is protest video which went viral, and slowly it will fade from memory. And the government is going to bring in more regulations, more laws, and stricter rules on these digital platforms, primarily Instagram. Okay? Because you know their game, and it's a very poor game, it's a very outdated game, and nobody wants to look at it, right? So this is what they're going to do. So it's going to be not only censorship, but also platform-based prioritization and deprioritization. So I think left and progressive movements do need to fill this up. And just in terms of finally just coming back to what's happening in terms of censorship and different kinds of IP laws, they will also start using other much more convenient framings rather than directly stating we want censorship. It's going to come through an articulation of protection of the rights of child and digital addiction. It is going to be 10 to 20 different things, and how they exist in a much different way in the European Union, and using those same frameworks to increase government power. So with that, I'll just pause here, or I'll completely end here. And it's been great to actually hear from both of you. Thank you so much, guys. No, you have nothing to be sorry about. My generation should be sorry. We are sorry. That comes from our generation. No. I came to. So I came.
You said it's great to have both of you there, and it's really been a learning, etc.
I remembered I came to ICWI first time in 2012. There was a PUCL meeting, Kavita Srivastava and Rajendra Satya were here, and I came to ask them to
file a petition to challenge 66A. So I am 42, I'm quite old. Okay.
For us, you're still Gen Z. For all of us.
Oh, thank you. Both of you can leave now.
We club you as their senior.
हमारी जनरेशन ने ऐसे हालात बनाए कि आपको रिवोल्ट करने का मौका मिले। जहाँ तक वायरलिटी की बात कर रही थी आप, मुझे लगता है कि जो वायरलिटी की बात हो रही थी, ये कुछ तो हमारी सोसाइटी का भी रोल है इसमें कि खास तरह का कंटेंट उसे पसंद आता है कि भाई सेक्स है, वायलेंस है, एक्टेड है, और ये हमारे ही अमेरिका में भी वही हाल है, वहाँ भी यही चल रहा है। लेकिन ये प्लेटफॉर्म का जो पूरा जो बड़ी टेक कंपनियां हैं, फेसबुक और ट्विटर वगैरह, उनका इंटरेस्ट इसी में है कि वायरल जितनी चीज़ें होंगी उतना ज़्यादा सर्कुलेट होगा, उतना ज़्यादा उनको प्रॉफिट होगा। वो एल्गोरिथम को इस तरह से डिज़ाइन करती होगी कि इस तरह का कंटेंट वायरल होता रहे। उन्हें इससे मतलब नहीं कि इससे सोसाइटी में किस तरह की रिफ्ट पैदा हो रही, किस तरह का क्लैश आ रहा है, उनको इससे मतलब नहीं है। और मतलब कई बार यूरोपियन यूनियन ने इस पर एक तरह का झगड़ा हुआ दोनों, अमेरिका में भी इस तरह का हुआ। लेकिन ये इतनी ताकतवर कंपनियां हैं कि कोई देश इनको बांध नहीं पा रहा, इनको रोक नहीं पा रहा। ये जरूर है कि इन मामलों में कंप्रोमाइज करने के लिए तैयार रहती हैं कि जहां सरकार से कुछ खतरा पैदा हो तो वहां वो कंप्रोमाइज करेगी, तुरंत मेटा टेक डाउन करने लगेगा कंटेंट, और ये हो रहा है। तो ये एक बड़ा चैलेंज है।
अंजू आप बताइए, or shall I give my question? So I have one question. What you were talking about, your friends, I mean, especially that friend of yours who's been forced to get married and clamped down. So there are many restrictions at multiple levels. It's not just the opposing political spectrum or party. And जो आपने कहा मुकेश जी कि आगे के लिए कैसे सोचना है, मतलब जो एको चेंबर से बाहर निकल के उनको कन्वर्ट करना है, at least open a dialogue. So is there some kind of thinking that you are having in terms of reaching out not just to people who are absolutely 100% with you, but who are not 100% with you, and including in your own community, say Viravati, this is one of you, she's facing this. So how do you address that? You open a dialogue, and you open a dialogue with other stakeholders and other people who are maybe on the fence, not completely opposing that side. So opening out the debate, as it were, taking your voice to a larger, wider, and not completely on your side audience. I mean, that is also a challenge. Your question.
My question is to Asian Apar. See, हम डिजिटल हाइजीन की बात करते हैं, वो कितनी महत्वपूर्ण है, और जैसे भी गाइडेंस की बात करते हैं, women NGOs have taken up issues with social media platforms कि ये चीज़ें नहीं होनी चाहिए. So why not go to pressure groups to make them understand? Because after all, they work on the algorithm में क्या है, जितने लोग देखेंगे उतना ही चलेगा. तो जब प्रेशर ग्रुप्स बन के काम करेंगे तब तो कोई स्टेप होगा. Just think about it. I think racial hygiene and social server. Racial hygiene.
मेरा सवाल पे सजेशन के साथ है। पहले मैं सती को एक बोल देना चाहूँगी। सती, आपने कहा कि हमारे इंटरनेट से हमारा जो हुआ ज़मीनी जंग हम लोग कर रहे हैं, तो यही ज़मीनी जंग तो हमें आगे बढ़ाना। इंटरनेट से शुरू हुआ ना ये आंदोलन, तो ये इतना फैल गया, तो इसी की हमें ज़रूरत है। और आप कह रही थी जनरेशन की जो बात होती है, जनरेशन जीवी ही नहीं किया, हमेशा युगे क्रांति की बात होती है कि हर जनरेशन अपनी तरीके से कुछ नया करती है। वो कितना फोर्सफुल हो जाता है उस माहौल में, ये डिपेंड करता है सर्कमस्टांसेस। अभी सर्कमस्टांसेस बहुत अच्छे हैं, हमारे जैसे माँ बाप मौसी मौसा वगैरह हैं जो जिनके सपने थे स्कूल के, हम अपनी बात कर सके, तो उन्होंने अपने बच्चों को वो माहौल दिया। तो आप लोगों का जो माहौल है वो वाकई जैसे मैंने कहा बहुत आज़ाद सोच है। आज़ाद सोच को सभी लोग मिल के आगे बढ़ाने, काफ़ी साल के 5 साल के मैंने देखा जंतर मंतर में कि बच्चों के साथ उनकी मदद है, तो वो क्या है, वो एक पूरा माहौल है, दादियाँ हैं, तो वो पूरा माहौल है ना, तो इसलिए हमें इसी को आगे बढ़ाना है। तो ये मेरा सजेशन है, और इसमें आप कुछ और जोड़ना चाहें तो जोड़ सकते हैं। दूसरा मुकेश और अपार के लिए कि जैसे हम लोग क्लोनिंग की बात करते हैं कि क्लोनिंग हो रही है, तो क्यों ना हम लोग ऐसा सोचें कि जो अच्छे पोस्ट जो हमें लगता है, जो समाज में कुछ बदलाव लाना चाहते हैं या जैसे भी हो कि कुछ अच्छा सोच रखते हैं, तो हम उनको वायरल कराना तो कैसे होगा कि हम उस पर अपनी लाइफ वगैरह आप लोग बेहतर जानते हैं, शेयर करें, ये करें। नहीं, उनके हायर है ना, उनके दोस्त मेरा मेरा हमारे तो जैसे जैसे मैं काफ़ी लोगों को जानती हूँ, जिसमें मैं भी शामिल हूँ, कि अभी तक मैं अच्छी चीज़ें पढ़ती थी और फिर लाइफ में कुछ तो ये आंदोलन जैसा अगर हम लोग बनाते हैं, जैसे आप इसकी बात करें, तो इससे भी मुझे लगता है कि चीज़ें हम थोड़ा आगे का फासला तय कर पाएंगे। आप दोनों अगर इस पर कुछ कहना चाहें।
मैं इसमें एक चीज़ जोड़ना चाहता था, मेरे ख्याल से यहाँ लोग इससे परिचित होंगे, मीडिया लिटरेसी। मीडिया लिटरेसी जो हमारे यहाँ मैं समझता हूँ कि 0 के आसपास होगी, और यूरोप के देशों में 5-7 साल के बच्चों को मीडिया लिटरेट बनाने की का सिलसिला शुरू हो जाता है, बताया जाने लगता है सब कुछ। हमारे यहाँ ऐसा कुछ भी नहीं है। मैंने एक यूनिवर्सिटी में एक्सपेरिमेंट किया था, मैंने मीडिया लिटरेसी ब्रिगेड बनाई थी, 20-25 बच्चों की टोली, और नुक्कड़ नाटक, गाने, ये सब मिलाकर गाँव में जाते थे, स्कूलों में जाते थे, और मीडिया को कैसे कंज्यूम करना है, क्या देखना है, क्या छोड़ देना है, देखना भी है तो कैसे उसको समझना है कि ये जो आप खबर देख रहे हैं ये किसने बनाई है, क्यों बनाई है, वो आपको क्यों दिखा रहा है, ये सारी चीज़ें, ये सवाल उसके दिमाग में उठे कोई भी कंटेंट देखते समय। ये मीडिया लिटरेसी का भी अगर कुछ हम लोग इसको आगे बढ़ाने का काम कर सकें तो इस पर भी हमको गौर करना चाहिए।
एक सवाल इधर
Good evening everyone, my name is Anusha, and my question comes from a very personal space as well as deliberations of Dr. Kumar. कि हम for centuries, for decades we have been talking about this is the problem, this is the problem. Every time, in 1947 also we had the same problem, कि a bunch of us are saying we are facing this, which is very unfortunate. I'm not taking away from anybody's experience, man, woman, child. However, it's time that we come up with solutions now. We are facing trolling as a generation, as a woman, as a man, as a teenager. What about it? We can keep questioning the government, we can talk about solutions at an organizational level. Sure, students are doing great, women are doing great, a particular society is doing great. On an individual level though, yesterday I heard someone in my office say, and my generation, mind you, I'm not that old, I can come see. Somebody said, "Arey madam, aap to rehne do, ye hum kar lenge." Kyun? Am I incapable to you? I understand if you're coming from a helpful space, I get it, because we can sense that, कि आप help करना चाह रहे हैं. लेकिन जब आप हमें demean करके कुछ कहना चाह रहे हैं कि आपके बस की बात नहीं है, तो मैं उससे क्या कहूँ ऐसा जो जो actually convincing, I shouldn't have to convince somebody, but I have to. So today can we come up with at least one solution on a micro individual level कि मैं as a person, आप as a person क्या कर सकते हैं कि we can take it 0.5% better than what we have. I would welcome anybody's propositions and anybody's suggestions in this regard.
Organize. One panel, right? At the next level, for example, in 1 year a lot that from BJP households, the Dada Dadi, Chacha Chachi, Mother Father, but the kids have gone to protest and they're coming back and at least sharing the stories, and the second generation, first generation, they're listening to them rather than just being artists, councils. So there's already a shift. So is there any way of, that momentum pushing it rather than just letting it happen on its own? You kind of seizing the moment. Is there some plan or some thought?
See, of course, there is a plan, which is what we've been doing for years now. I think first part of your question was that participation of people who agree with you is one thing, but the participation of people who don't agree with you. That is why political organizations like ours, for them to function freely in campus spaces is very important, and not just in colleges and universities, but at the school level. क्योंकि जब कोई भी बच्चा 12वीं क्लास के बाद कॉलेज आ रहा है, तो वो एक कोरा कागज नहीं आ रहा है, वो जिस समाज से आ रहा है, उस समाज की पूरी समझ को लेके आ रहा है। वो अपने साथ में पितृसत्ता को लेकर आ रहा है, अपने साथ में जातिवाद को लेकर आ रहा है, अपने साथ में अपने जो फ्यूडलिस्ट टेंडेंसीज है उसको लेकर आ रहा है। तो हमारा काम कैंपस में जाके सिर्फ 3-4 ऐसे लोगों को ढूंढना नहीं है जो ऑलरेडी पॉलिटिसाइज्ड बैकग्राउंड से आ रहे हैं, ऑलरेडी एक ऐसे प्रिविलेज से आ रहे हैं जो पहले दिन से हम प्रोटेस्ट करेंगे हमारे साथ में जुड़ जाएंगे। अगर ऐसा होता तो शायद फिर हमारा पूरा ऑर्गेनाइजेशन सिर्फ मेरे और सखी का होता और बाकी लोग हमारे साथ में नहीं जुड़ते। तो हमारा काम क्या है? हम कैंपसेस में बार बार हम क्यों इस बात को बोलते हैं कि जी जंतर मंतर पे जो हुआ that brought a change, but that did not happen through Jantar Mantar alone. SFI was actively organizing people in schools and colleges across more than 24 states in the country. हिमाचल, राजस्थान, क्या कहते हैं, बिहार, सब जगह पे ऑर्गेनाइज हो रहा था। तो ये सिर्फ जंतर मंतर से एक प्रोटेस्ट साइड से ये चेंज नहीं आया है। ज़रूरत है कि जो लोग हमसे आज अग्री नहीं कर रहे हैं, हम उनसे बातचीत के थ्रू, किसी कल्चरल प्रोग्राम के थ्रू उस तरीके से उनसे रीच आउट करें और उनसे बातचीत करें। तो बात बेसिकली इसका जवाब तो सिंपल ये है। What you also asked, I think I very clearly said the answer for it is organize. See, the question in itself becomes wrong when you ask what you can do at an individual level. For years, this is the problem. From years we have been taught कि हम एक इंडिविजुअल की तरह सोसाइटी में जी रहे हैं, है ना? अभी हम लोग हैं, जैसा कि उससे पहले भी कह रहे थे कि मुझे पता है प्रॉब्लम क्या है, कि हम तो सालों से कह रहे हैं, we have been saying, we know the problem from years, what the problem is. The problem is who is this we? ये we कौन है? इस we में कितने लोग हैं? अगर इस we में 10 साल पहले भी 24 लोग जो इस कमरे में बैठे हैं वही है, 30 लोग जो इस कमरे में बैठे वही थे, और 10 साल बाद भी उस we का हिस्सा उतने ही लोग हैं, and that is the problem. वो we का स्पेक्ट्रम को हम नहीं बढ़ा पा रहे हैं, प्रॉब्लम वहाँ पे है। तो क्योंकि हमको बार बार सिखाएंगे कि आप इंडिविजुअल लेवल पे क्या कर सकते हैं, प्रॉब्लम वही है कि इंडिविजुअल लेवल पे आप कुछ नहीं कर सकते, आप कुछ नहीं कर पाएंगे इंडिविजुअल लेवल पे। जब अगर आप एक जर्नलिस्ट हैं तो आप अपने जर्नलिस्ट साथियों के साथ में एक संगठन बनाएंगे, वहाँ पे एक विचार को लेके जाएंगे, उसके साथ में ऑर्गेनाइज करेंगे, तब कुछ हो पाएगा। अगर आप एक प्रोफेसर हैं, एक टीचर हैं, और मान लीजिए कि सिर्फ एडहॉक बेसिस पे भर्तियाँ जैसे इस वक्त हो रही हैं, है ना, एक विचारधारा के टीचर्स की भर्तियाँ हो रही हैं, तो अगर इंडिविजुअल लेवल पर आप सोचेंगे कि मैं क्या कर सकता हूँ, हम कुछ नहीं कर सकते। जब आप बाकी टीचर्स के साथ में एक संगठन बनाएंगे, खड़े मिलकर लड़ाई करेंगे, तभी कुछ हो सकता है. As students also, why this question again and again of generation? कि हमारे माँ बाप की जनरेशन ने वो खराब किया, हमारे जनरेशन ने सही किया. It's a wrong discourse to have. It's a wrong discourse to have. My father, he was also in SFI back in Shimla and from Shimla. So at that time also, they were fighting for the same issues. फीस नहीं बढ़नी चाहिए यूनिवर्सिटी की, तो नहीं बढ़नी चाहिए, फिर चाहे वो 40 साल पहले हो या 40 साल बाद हो. तो ये जो बात है जनरेशंस की है ही नहीं कि हमसे पिछली जनरेशन ने क्या किया और ये जनरेशन क्या कर रही है. बात ये है कि अगर जंतर मंतर पे एक सही पॉलिटिकल दिशा दी गई उस प्रोटेस्ट को, वो भीड़ ही रह जाती है. उस भीड़ को आंदोलन बनाने का काम जो है लेफ्ट प्रोग्रेसिव ऑर्गेनाइजेशन ने किया है. पीपल्स मूवमेंट से जो लोग जुड़े थे उन्होंने वो काम किया है. जेनजी ने नहीं वो काम किया है. वो काम फिर चाहे वो 18 साल का कोई इंसान हो या फिर 40 साल का कोई इंसान हो, जो इस मूवमेंट से जुड़ा है, जो समझता है कि जनवाद क्या है, एक डेमोक्रेटिक कंट्री में किस तरीके से चीज़ें होनी चाहिए, है ना, एक जो पीपल्स गवर्नमेंट क्या होती है, किस तरीके की होनी चाहिए. हम एक अगर हम कहते हैं अपने प्रिएम्बल में सोशलिस्ट लिखते हैं तो उसका क्या मतलब है, किस तरीके की पॉलिसीज बननी चाहिए. एक पॉलिसी लेवल अंडरस्टैंडिंग जो है वो इन आंदोलनों को बनाता है. देखिए, धर्मेंद्र प्रधान के इस्तीफे से कोई बड़ा चेंज नहीं आने वाला है, आएगा भी नहीं. वो तब आएगा जब पॉलिसी लेवल पे नेशनल एजुकेशन पॉलिसी 2020 जो है वो वापस ली जाएगी. एनटी नेशनल टेस्टिंग एजेंसी जो है बार बार पेपर बेच रहा है, उसे खत्म किया जाएगा. अब ये जो आइडिया है, आई एज अ जेन पर्सन एम सेइंग दिस, बट दिस आइडिया हैज बीन traveled, this idea has traveled to me through people of your generation, who are professors, who are policy makers, who are thinkers. तो ये जनरेशन की डिबेट तो है. डिबेट है कि आपको इकट्ठा होकर आपको समझना होगा सबसे पहले कि कहाँ गलत हो रहा है. उस गलत के खिलाफ आप जिस जहाँ पे यूनाइट कर सकते हैं, ऑर्गेनाइज कर सकते हैं, वहाँ पे ऑर्गेनाइज कीजिए. और सिर्फ उन लोगों की नहीं जो हमारे जैसा अभी सोच रहे हैं. जरूरत उन लोगों को बदलने की है जो हमारे जैसा भी नहीं सोच पा रहे हैं. वरना डफली का वीडियो तो लोग आज बहुत देख रहे हैं, देश भर में देख रहे हैं कि बच्चे डफली बजाते हैं. हम जो नारा लगा रहे हैं, सबको शिक्षा सबको काम, आज लोग देख रहे हैं, पर वो नारा सालों से लोग लगा रहे हैं, वो डफली सालों से लोग बजा रहे हैं. सो हु आर दीज पीपल जो उस हालात में भी हम एसएफआई से हैं. हम जब प्रोटेस्ट करते थे, जब पहली बार नीट पेपर लीक सामने आया तो हमने प्रोटेस्ट किया था. 3 मई को प्रोटेस्ट किया था. तो उस प्रोटेस्ट में क्या कहते हैं, हम लोग हमारे साथियों को डिटेन कर दिया गया, पुलिस उठा के ले गई थी. हमारे लिए पहली बार था कि हम प्रोटेस्ट करें, हमें उठाया नहीं जा रहा है, हमें लाठी नहीं चल. इट वाज आवर फर्स्ट टाइम. That means that people have been fighting for these issues for a long time. Who are these people? If those people wouldn't have been there at Jantar Mantar, वो भीड़ ही रह जाती, वो आंदोलन नहीं बन पाता. That is the debate, that is the discourse we need to have. किस जनरेशन ने कितना काम किया, किसने नहीं किया, that is not the debate. The debate is who are these people? किस विचार से वो लोग आ रहे हैं और लोगों के साथ जुड़ने की हमें कितनी ज़्यादा ज़रूरत है. That is the discourse.
I think Sharanya said very rightly. And I do agree कि at that point होता है कि I want to say something back, है ना? That urge कि इसने मुझे कुछ ऐसा कहा, that I felt very bad and I have this urge. But of course we can say something like how I do is, what I understand is men love other men's validation, है ना? Men love other men. They love other men more than they ever loved women. In a human sense, I am saying. So, if other men or their masculinity is challenged, like they always challenge our authority just with, so we can always say, comment back or make sure that, say something like that. But that will give you a relief for 5 seconds maybe. It will not do anything concrete. Right now also, and for that, when policy, how Sharanya explained, very well explained. This is what, if I can just repeat, I will repeat word by word, but I don't want to do that. So exactly what Sharanya said,
I would totally agree with it, that it is time for us to organize ourselves. When we were there at Jantar Mandir, there was more of the unemployed youth than the students that we noticed. It was more unemployed youth than the students. And also, when Dharmendra Pradhan resigned, when Jantar Mandir became small to have people were there till Connaught Place, till Janpat. There were so many people that Jantar Mandir was chota pad gaya Jantar Mandir. So it was when people came together, and not because we were there, we had to fight it out. For 40 days, we slept there, we ate there, we lived there. But when did change happen? When people came out and said that we don't fear. Even though we knew that every day, since starting 20th of July, there were lathi charge, tear gas, all of this brutality every day. Every day we used to think, oh, today is going to be the crackdown, today is going to be the crackdown. But that thought, oh, today is going to be the crackdown, and so that we should not go, was not the thought. Thought mostly with the people was, today is going to be the crackdown, we need to go there. So we need to act now, like how you were also saying. But make sure politics is reached, because our naras, our slogans were not there for entertainment or just engaging people on Jantar Mandir. It was active politicization of people who are coming, who are accepting कि yes, influx in the बात कहने में कोई दिक्कत नहीं है. Even though Jantar Mandir पे मना करा गया था, but people also were very appreciative of slogans like आज़ादी, क्योंकि they heard what are we saying. Paper से आज़ादी, तानाशाही से आज़ादी. They heard, and they were accepting of it also. So लगातार politicization and us coming together, telling everybody that when people come together, it happens. And I think more than it travels down very quickly. Like how Shanya was saying that we learned it from your generation, we learned it from generations before us, we learned it from my college seniors. Right now, we came out on the streets when we are in higher education. The generation which are younger to us are now on the street when they are in schools already. So it does travel down. It does give hope. Yes, it shows that coming together can, and that is, I think, Gen Alpha, the generation younger than us, understand it more better. They are organizing themselves in government school and coming out and blocking streets. We did not block street for a very long time. We stayed in a very cozy barricade to barricade Jantar Mandir. They are on chaurahas, they are on street, standing in front of buses. They are more. So we need to increase our strength. We need to make sure that the we that we were 10 years ago, we are doubled to 10x. We are so much more in number than what we were before. We need to increase our we, like how Sharmi said.
आपका जो सवाल था मेरे ख्याल से वो पर्सनल स्पेस में कैसे डील करें ऐसे लोगों से जो आपको इंफीरियर फील कराना चाहते हैं, राइट? वो आपके घर पे आपका भाई भी हो सकता है, आपके फादर भी हो सकते हैं, जिनकी कंडीशनिंग पैट्रियार्कल सोसाइटी में हुई है, वो उस तरह से सोचने के आदमी हैं। अपने हस्बैंड के साथ डील करना होगा, वो भी उसी तरह की। तो ये आपको अपने लेवल पर एक लक्षण रेखा, बस हो गया, इससे आगे हम आपको भी जानेंगे। ये आपको अपने स्तर पर तैयार करना पड़ेगा। बड़ी लड़ाइयों के लिए आपको संगठन की जरूरत है, लोगों की जरूरत है, लेकिन पर्सनल लेवल पे तो आपको खड़ा होना है। आपको उस तरह की वैचारिक मानसिक तैयारी करनी पड़ेगी और कई बार उसके नुकसान भी उठाने पड़ेंगे, लेकिन ये साहस आपको जुटाना पड़ेगा।
I'm just going back to our topic today, which was on living and given such a mindful thoughts and so many suggestions and so many opinions have come out. That the one who face the online trolling. So what are the legal safeguards you suggest? There are so many acts, but once one approaches to the court, then only they get the relief or they get to know what are the safeguards. Can you share some of them?
The laws are useless. It's all organized. It's organized at the level of the political party and the government. Both are giving contracts out to organize units of people who get monthly amounts of money. And it is my regret, some of them now even own news channels. Yes, they do. So, this is in the nature of the political establishment, it is in the nature of the political party, it is in the nature of the media policy and the award of influencer contracts. So there is a financial force behind it, there is an institutional force behind it, so the laws are meaningless. They don't hold any force. If you can dox a 15-year-old girl and the National Child Rights Commission, despite me writing to them, has not taken cognizance. Zero cognizance. Yeah, it's not taken cognizance.
Mukesh ji.
I don't know.
मुकेश जी, आपने बात की एक्शन प्लान की बात की, आपने आगे बढ़ने की, इससे आगे क्या?
I just say my organization is organizing an event at 6 p.m. I need to go and support my staff there. It is at ILC. So I'll have to in 5 minutes or something.
मुकेश जी,
लगवा दिया
आपने जो बात कही,
और कब का लगा?
आपने जो बात कही आगे बढ़ने की, यानी फ्यूचर कोर्स ऑफ एक्शन, मेरा मानना है कि एक लार्जर इशू है, पर्सनल लेवल अलग हो सकता है, ये इशू सोसाइटी से सोसाइटी से रिलेटेड, इट हैज टू बी रिजॉल्व्ड बाय दैट। मेरे हिसाब से आपको इश्यूज और स्टेक होल्डर्स पहले आइडेंटिफाई करनी चाहिए, क्योंकि ये एक लार्जर इशू है, इसमें बहुत सारे स्टेक होल्डर्स हैं और इशू को आप तभी रिजॉल्व कर पाएंगे सब लाइक माइंडेड स्टेक होल्डर्स और जो लाइक माइंडेड नहीं भी है, उनको जब तक आइडेंटिफाई नहीं करते, उनको आप इकट्ठा नहीं करते, इश्यूज को आइडेंटिफाई नहीं करते, यू कैन नॉट मूव फॉरवर्ड। तो हाउ डू वी डू इट, उसमें जरा
सहमत हूँ आपसे, इसीलिए हमें एक और मीटिंग वर्कशॉप जैसी कुछ करनी चाहिए जिसमें ये स्ट्रेटजी बनाई जा सके कि कैसे करें।
आप कहते हैं आगे होगी, केवल डिस्कशन से नहीं होगा, आगे हमें आगे बढ़ के कुछ सोचना होगा ताकि हम इससे बाहर निकलें। चलो बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद, आप लोग हमसे जुड़े सर, और हमें बहुत सारी जानकारियाँ मिली, बहुत सारे आगे सोचने का है कि हमें आगे क्या करना है। थैंक यू वेरी मच। थैंक यू सर, थैंक यू मुकेश सर।